feel like the Scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz, like I'm oiling that Tin Man every now and then, because there's some parts that fall apart a little bit once in a while.
One of your early times you saw Ryan, I believe, was a high school meet. He's getting ready to race in the final leg of a match, and he's shooting hoops right beforehand?
Yeah. I was standing beside his dad, and next time I say, well, where's Ryan? He said, I don't know. And he was up shooting hoops upstairs in the basketball gym. He liked to play around, and he learned how to keep, it was never a pressure situation for him. He just enjoyed racing, looked forward to it, and he had that unique ability to have a bad race, learn from it, and move on.
Yep.
He didn't dwell on it very long. By the same token, when he had a good race, he enjoyed it and moved on. I think that aspect is what kept him moving to higher levels.
And initially when you saw him doing that, weren't you thinking, why the hell am I recruiting this kid?
What did I get myself into here?
And then he goes and wins the race.
Yeah. It was always been that way, though. He'd find a way, you give him a little bit of space, give him his race instructions, and he's really good for short periods of time. You look him right in the eye, and you knew you had his attention.
How have you seen him grow over the years?
He's one of the two best athletes in the world. Through that time period, I think, between he and Michael, they were the only two guys that won Athlete of the Year. But he did it through hard work. He can jump, and he's got good hands and nice feel. But he was well taught, but I think his big skill set was to be able to come to the pool day after day and take a beating.
With Michael, what stands out most to you in terms of their competition over the years?
They made one another better. Whenever one responded, the other one responded in kind. We always approached training a little bit that we were the guy behind. We had to work a little harder to catch up. And every time we caught up, Michael responded by getting even better. I think that was good for both of them.
If Michael was never a swimmer, do you think Ryan's results would be better or worse?
He swims to win. There's no two ways about it, and he can find that. He's got good athletic skills. He's got a tremendous work ethic. He's got a nice feel for the water, and he has a good perception for racing. But he also has that X factor. That one you can't measure at all, and I think that would have shown up whether it was Michael or someone else. The problem is Michael. Michael has all those things too, and you got a Caeleb Dressel coming along. We had some guys in between that were Olympic type finalists, semifinalist athletes, and a good team. So that was fun. It wasn't all about Ryan Lochte.
Right.
And the nice thing about Ryan and even Caeleb Dressel now, both those two guys make the people around him better. The one thing Ryan never gets credit for, he's the type of guy in practice that he can have his biggest competitor right beside him. He'll lean over and tell him something he can do to help himself. Pick out something maybe he's doing wrong in practice. So he really helps you as a coach because it's like having another set of eyes in the water.
In what ways, Caeleb, have you found the two of you motivating one another?
Well, it's definitely been like an ongoing, figuring things out, figuring each other out, year after year. I've gotten more comfortable around Ryan, little things like talking trash, even getting more personal. It's the full spectrum of just, I've come to him with things I've struggled with in the sport, outside the sport, things I've been button heads, with Troy. I'll go to him because he's been working with Troy since 2006? 2002, that's right, that's when you came to school.
Yeah.
So Ryan,
Long time.
yeah, Ryan has wisdom in the sport. I don't know why I wouldn't want to pick his brain. So, I'm very grateful to have him, as you can tell. I typically get a lane next to him.
When he asked you to coach him again, what did you say?
I explained to him that it wasn't going to be easy. I just told him I wasn't going to deal with a 24-year-old college kid again. I wasn't going to redo his freshman, sophomore year. And like I said, every day at the base at practice, it was tremendous to work with. And as he got older, it's still reeling in that kid that was out in the basketball court when he was younger, only it wasn't basketball court problems, it was college kid problems.
After you guys started working together again, he still had some challenges that followed that. What made you stick around even during that?
And we're working on a 20-year relationship. So there's a little bit more to it than just the coaching. And I do think he makes some really big mistakes. There's no doubt about that. Some are poor judgments, some are just mistakes. But he's got a big heart, and he's really a good person. And he cares about the other guys, and then on a day-to-day basis, though, having him in practice makes other people better.
The Tokyo Olympics, your expectations of him going into the games?
The first year, he was just in horrible physical shape. We had to put the pieces back together, and he got him back together mentally, and he swam pretty well.
This is amazing, 217 pounds at his first race back. did not look like he was in shape at all and still killed the competition.
So he was 25 pounds over what he swam his world record at. It was a heck of a performance and a really good effort. But we keep a little picture they had of him on the deck of the pool in my phone to make sure that we kind of don't go back there, yeah. I feel like the Scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz, like I'm oiling that Tin Man every now and then, because there's some parts that fall apart a little bit once in a while.
His biggest goal, obviously predicated on first qualifying for the games, is breaking his own world record. He told me that. Steve told me that. How do you feel about that?
We were seeing things that would indicate that it was possible. It would be a matter of putting the right pieces in the right place at the right time. The COVID was probably the bigger setback than anything he's had to deal with.
How so?
I just think the disappointment in that one. We were so close, and at his age, swimming's kind of an unforgiving sport, and it's not very easy. I think there was an aspect at 34 that I'm looking forward to getting that part done, and then at that point I'll reestablish what I've done. I've kind of corrected some of the faults and the things that I've done wrong before, and there's an aspect to it that, regardless of what the outcome was a little self-redemption. And the body was holding it together. Now we've got to figure out a way to hold it together for 12 more months, 14 more at that point. That was a bitter pill. It was a little hard to bite.
What would breaking his own world record at the Olympics represent?
It'd be a heck of an accomplishment at his age. I think the age thing becomes a little bit of the factor, and there's some really great young medley swimmers right now. So getting the Olympics in itself is going to be a real challenge.
Put Ryan's accomplishments and accolades in context with the history of the sport.
Second to Michael Phelps, and Michael's the best one ever. I think that kind of sums it up. Now, he's a giver. He's interested in little kids. He gives back to little kids. He's not afraid to spend a lot of time. Lots of times, one of my big problems is dragging away, because he'll stay and do autographs for him for an eternity. And his teammates, he gets along really well with teammates. There's very little friction. He encourages them to do better, and I think they appreciate that.